it's just who I am. I like all forms of Degrassi, even when they moved to Netflix.
You still held on. That's a true fan.
Yeah.
Okay. I say we get things rolling. Seems like we got a good squad in the building tonight. Welcome everyone. Tonight, we have the huge and really cool honor of spending time with Brad Montague, who is for a long time, Brad, been someone that I've looked up to in the creative space and the kindness and do-gooding space, and generally interesting brain space. So I'm thrilled to have you here tonight. Part of the reason that you're here tonight is because you just published a new book called Becoming Better Grownups. And
That's a fact.
Just came out, a week ago? A little over a week ago.
That's pretty exciting.
Yes.
March 31st, here we are, and I made it to this point.
You're in a hot competition right now between your book reviews and a Danny DeVito cardboard cutout on Amazon. So if you haven't rated the book yet, really important to do that. Yes. I'm going to give a little frame about tonight, where we are, what we're going to be talking about, and then we'll jump right in. My name's Houston. I'm one of the co-creators of The Good Workhouse, which is co-hosting tonight with the Children's Media Association. This is our first shared event, so it's super awesome to have people from a couple of different worlds here. I'm in the Good Workhouse right now. Good Workhouse started as a physical space and has now become a pretty virtual one, with the whole premise of how do we do more good in the world. It is a community designed to serve connection in a world that is increasingly lonely. And the premise of joining the house is you support the Children's Academy down in Haiti. So talking education, which we'll dig into more in a little bit with Brad. And tonight, we are here with Brad Montague, who is a film director, an author. He is a Guggenheim curator, a camp counselor, creator of Kid President, a maker of doodles, a father of children, a husband of Christy, here tonight to chat with us. Welcome, Brad. Thanks for being here.
Welcome, Houston. That was an awesome intro. I'm seeing these pictures of people that are here, and I'm going, I know some of you. I don't know some of you, and I'm blown away. Hi, Alice. This is the Can we have everybody on the count of three? This is like school here. I want you to say that you're present. So on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Present.
Present.
Oh, look at these people all here. This is a cool group. I've seriously, thank you everybody for being here. This is really exciting.
What a gift to be present even in a virtual space. And what I want to do tonight, Brad, if it's okay with you, sometimes people will end like these chats with a lightning round at the end. I think a lightning round seems more fun at the beginning. So are you okay with a couple of one-word answers to kick things off?
Bring the storm. Let's do this.
All right. First, what is one non-food item you wish you could eat?
Paper. Did I say the right thing? Did I pass the test? You did say non-food, right?
Yes, you nailed it.
You know the story like about the story of Marie Sindak. He wrote this letter. This kid said he loved his note, that he wrote him so much that this kid ate the letter. Did you know this story? Yeah, it happened. And he's like, that was the best compliment ever. This kid loved it so much he ate it. And so, yeah, I would love to write something somebody loved so much that they're like, I don't know what to do with this. I just got to eat it.
For anyone who hasn't purchased it yet, not only is it a great book, it's a great meal.
It's edible.
Edible learning. Okay, number 2. Can you show and tell one item in reach of you right now that you think would be least helpful for you and I to survive on a deserted island?
Oh, this is funny. I actually have this. My kids were here just a bit ago, and we were playing. This is a box that I have, and it says, "This is just an ordinary box," but there's
Wow,
There's
that
like
is,
nothing
yeah,
in it. It's just, yeah. So it seems really
that is
exciting.
spot on.
Nothing but.
That is that is exactly the least useful thing I can imagine when
It's
I'm
right
right
in
now.
hand.
Thank you. Okay, number 3. What famous but dead creative person do you wish you could be quarantined with the qualifier that they are not dead while you're quarantined with them?
Okay, good. There's so many. My brain went to Jim Henson because I've got some questions.
Labyrinth among them.
Yeah.
Number 4, the most creative nickname you've been given.
um, because you said the most creative, I went to the most uncreative. I had a professor in college who one time I wore one of my roommate's shirts to class, and it was like a sports shirt. I'm not even a sports guy, and the shirt said 53. It had like a number 53, and this guy would just be like, "Number 53, yeah." That is not. You don't know me at all. But my nickname forever when I was has been Brad Chad.
Brad
Um,
Chat.
and that's because when I was a kid, I went to camp and I thought it would be cool to change my name to Chad. Not different from Brad, but I thought, hey, I'm going to be a new person. And midway through the week, I panicked and started telling everybody I lied and my name was actually Brad, so I felt guilty. So then the camp counselor, he said, "Your cross to bear now is you will now be Brad Chad." That was it. So I henceforth have been. So there's a whole bunch of people who know me as Brad Chad.
Brad Chad, and a very few handful that weren't listening that only know you as Chad.
Yeah. But
Uh,
you're like all my friends, so I can tell you that story.
yeah, we can all refer to you as number 53 or Brad Chad.
And I'll know, oh yeah, you really know me.
Number 5, I think. Which kitchen utensil besides the fork do you most struggle with?
The cheese thingy. The not like the cheese grater, but even that, like cleaning a cheese grater, you need it's come on, people.
Yeah, they need
This is
special sponges, I think.
there, yeah. But then we had this little thing you can slice cheese, and I always get my skin. Always.
Every time.
Every
That's
time.
tough. Um, and the last one, this comes from a friend. The people want to know, when are we going to see the world tour of the popsicle truck?
So yeah, the truck is I thought it was a good idea. But I don't think it can leave my county. It I'll get it going for a while and it gets kids excited and they're like, "Yay, the truck!" And then it it sputters out. So I'm figuring it out. But one day I want to have a fleet of them that just show up and make cool stuff happen. Like so that's the idea. It's called the Wonder Truck and it's back here, but
Wonder truck. I
not
can't
very
wait.
wonderful at the moment.
Yeah, soon when this stuff clears, we're going to see the popsicle truck take flight.
Yes.
Before we jump into the meat of the book, Brad, I did, being as the premise of the book was around listening, a lot of listening. And among those, your primary people that you listen to were children. I wanted to invite a couple of guests to ask some questions besides me, if that was okay.
Yes.
Cool. I think the first person is going to be Rachel. Rachel is a teacher from Missouri, and she has her 2 kids with her, Kaylin and David, and they've been preparing for an interview with you. So we're going to
Hi
talk
guys.
the microphone to Kaylin and David.
So my kiddos here have a couple questions for you, if that's okay.
Go for it.
My name is Kayla, Mom said. The question I have for you is, how does it feel to make the world a better place?
Oh, I love that your heart is there, that's the question you want to ask. What's your name?
Kaylin?
Kaylin. Thank you for asking that. And thank you
Well,
for seeing that that's something I want to do. I'll tell you this. I imagine that you know what it feels like to make the world more awesome because of the people that are around you. I know that they would say you make their day awesome every single day. Your brother might be sitting there saying something else. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know that feeling you get when you can make your mom smile or your brother laugh or somebody around you? There's just this like, it's like bubbles, isn't it? Or something inside you that's just joyful. And then here's the other thing. Sometimes you are making the world, usually you are making things better around you and you don't even realize it. And so what's exciting is that sometimes you get little glimpses and you realize, oh, I've actually been making my friends and family, their lives brighter. And so I hope you get lots and lots of those glimpses. So it feels good. That's a great question.
And then David had a question for you too.
What was it?
Remember, you're going to ask about how to become.
How do you become a better person when you grow up?
So he asked, how can you become a better person when you grow up?
Ooh. Do you have any ideas?
No.
It's okay. You can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I can tell.
He's not sure.
You know what is something that I've been learning, David, is that I had this idea that, you know how butterflies, they grow? You know, they start out and they're little bitty wormy little caterpillars and they go and they make the cocoon, the chrysalis, and they come out and they're a butterfly. I thought that's what moms and dads were like. That somehow all of a sudden they were like, ta-da, I have beautiful wings and I am a butterfly. And really, do you know how you grow? Little by little every day.
Yes.
All the time. You're growing all the time. And the same with your mom. People around you, we're all growing little by little every day. And so the key that I'm still figuring out is that you gotta say, I'm not done. I'm still growing every day. So there's new things I'm gonna learn, new ways I'm gonna take care of myself and the people around me. So that's the way I'm trying to do it.
Okay.
Good question.
They had one more thing they wanted to say to you. Is that okay?
Of course. Oh my goodness. That's the best. You made that?
Yeah. Did you make that?
You guys buy that at Costco? How'd you get that?
Thank you. This is the best.
Thank you, Rachel and Kaylin and David. Those are some really good questions.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
We're going to pass it to your other correspondent in the field, if we could. Is Mike and Andy here? Andy, did you have a question for Brad? What's up, Chris?
Support other kids.
Hello, what was the question, sir?
How can kids support other kids?
Oh, yeah. How can kids support other kids? That's a really good question, and that's an important one. You know, not everybody asks that question, because sometimes a lot of people will ask, how can I take care of myself? And you're saying, how can kids help other kids? So that means that you've got some things figured out about how you live your life in a way where you are not childish, but childlike. That's what grown-ups are trying to be. And you're a kid. You're totally doing it. So kids can take care of other kids by reminding them that they are important, that they are worthy, that they have value, that they're awesome. Like you're holding up that sign. Be more awesome. So it's recognizing that in everybody and saying, no matter what, I'm going to find something to celebrate about the people around me. Is there something to celebrate about the people next to you? I like your sign so much.
Thank you, Jensen crew.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thanks, Houston. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Good looking signs, everyone. You guys, I think it's bedtime, huh? Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you from our correspondents in the field. Those were very, very good questions. Better than any of the questions I wrote down. We'll see you next time.
That was amazing. I had no idea you're going to do that. The best.
I thought they in fact did have better questions, but I will go ahead and read my questions anyways, because I have some ones I'm interested in that maybe we can dig into if you're ready for the next phase.
Yeah.
All right. Early in the book, you say, "You matter, you're here." And it said that it's something that you said so many times to others and you'd forgotten to say to yourself. My question is, what else have you been reminded to say to yourself recently?
Yeah, that is something I've been learning the hard way, is that a lot of the things I have made are designed to be encouraging. You know, like we had this big video go cuckoo viral as this kid president pep talk, and literally every line in that was because I needed it. And in a lot of ways I knew I needed it. But then there'll be so many times when I'll be feeling defeated or super discouraged, and somebody will send me something I made and be like, "You should listen to this guy." And at first it makes me very mad, and I unfriend them to stop following, cut them out, cut them off. Then I start thinking about all the ways that we can be so good at sometimes speaking life into other people, speaking good into other people, having grace for other people, like all that stuff. And then looking in the mirror and being like, "You dunce. Like, you just, if only you," and that's been something that I've been trying to learn, the balance between listening to those things inside me that I forget, and making certain that I remind everybody around me of that, and that I try to not just see them as good ideas, but as true. And it just reminds me that the kids in my life need those words and things just as much as I do.
Beautiful.
I don't know. I didn't answer your question fully.
You did good. The remembrance that good ideas can also be true.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast recently that said, "Wise people take their own advice," and I said, "That's not about you. Isn't it good ideas out of you?" I mean, it's really a big part of your book, right? The subtitle is "Rediscovering What Matters and Remembering How to Fly."
Mm-hmm.
You got two re's in there: remember and rediscover.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, I was doing an interview with someone who shared with me the idea that the word human in Arabic means to forget. Which I've always really loved that premise.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
born with everything we need, and then life process, if we're doing it right, of remembering more than learning. So
yeah, the whole remembering thing is interesting to me, because there's a story in the book of this girl who is born with this ability to fly, and then over time loses that. Life gets heavy, she forgets, and then has this great awakening, and it's not like she becomes something new, or she's becomes what she's always been. She comes back to this place, And I shared that story live a lot because a lot of the book were things that I was learning and sharing, and there was a group of camp counselors. It was people from camps all over the world, and so there was like an FFA camp, there was a Girls Scout camp, and then there was a man who was from a Jewish camp that ran in the summer, and he had run it for years. And he's like, "Oh, I need to tell you a story. You know the story, right? You know about this part of our lips, right? Do you know that part of our lips?" He says, "Well, before we're born, this is an old Jewish tale. Before we're born, the angels whisper into children's ears and tell them everything they need to know about life. And then just before they arrive on earth, they smack them and tell them, nope." And then they forget it and it goes away. So this part of our lip is the part where the angels went, oh, you forgot, you can't remember it. And then you go back. And so he was like, that was his way of telling me, you've got all this stuff inside you that you've forgotten. Get back to it.
It reinvents the term "touched by an angel." It's like so,
smacked.
Yeah, yeah, smacked by an angel. That's good. What part of the creative process helps you with that, like, remembering piece that is so important? How does creativity relate to remembering for you?
Yeah, I think when you play, when you create anything, it's like you are performing CPR on your inner child. It's like you are tapping into this part of you that's very creaturely, that's primal, that's just free, and that sense of fun is when good things happen. It's when things are easy. You could be doing the most challenging work in the world. Like right now, we're in the midst of a lot of challenges. A lot of people are working to solve issues and all over. And one of the most helpful things we can do sometimes is when things are heavy, to embrace it in a very light way. No matter how tragic or challenging, if you can embrace it lightly, it brings you to that place of who you were when you were a kid. So like an example would be almost if you take something project that you're working on and then just scrap everything and say, okay, I'm done trying to come up with good ideas. Right now, we're going to come up with the worst possible way to do this. Like, what would be the worst possible way to execute this idea? And then just go. And the more you do that, the more your brain starts like laughing. You start thinking of the most absurd things. Like, well, what if we had this? Or what if this? What if we threw a party, didn't send out invitations? Like all of this stuff you start thinking about, and it makes you land on, well, that's the dumb way to do it. But oh, what if we did this? And then your bones start to like rattle. You start getting excited because you feel that hum of, oh, I've landed on the good idea. So for me, like the fun part is that place where you can be, where no matter if it's whatever the project is at hand, if you can play, you can make it happen. You can make good happen.
I love the association with play and creativity and bone rattling as a vehicle for creativity. I got to pay attention when my bones rattle. That's important.
Yeah, I got that from my grandmother. My grandmother would always say like, ooh, like I was making my bones hum. And I was like, that's so strange. But now I get it. Like it's not just arthritis. Like it's something else. It's like she's tapping into why she's here, you know, why we're here.
Yeah, it's grounding. It's like this very internal knowing of something really true that you're excited to get out.
Yeah.
You alluded to the fact that we're navigating tough times. Oh, it's bedtime. Looks like. Bye, everyone.
Good night.
And one of my favorite parts of the book, if you haven't read it yet, look forward to the chapter about the dead hamster, who teaches us many lessons. And you sort of talk about, like, in tough moments, letting the sadness sit.
Yeah.
And then you also talk about people that have a party of possibility. So to bring it to like right now, we're experiencing a lot of grief. And I've seen a lot of memes about like being productive and how to hustle your way through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like the other memes that are like, what about the yin, and like be okay being still. You don't have to produce. So what's your personal philosophy on how to navigate hard things and find balance between like letting sadness just exist and also mobilizing to do something purposeful in the world?
Yeah. These are good questions, man. You're good. So
Good answers, good job.
I'll tell you one thing that excites me right now, getting the bone hum, like this hum and my rattle in my bones here, is that I know right now that the people listening to this that are connected to this right here are creators, are people who move and shake culture, who tell stories. And what would be a tragedy is if we all only told stories that told everybody it's easy, everything's okay, just smile, just be happy. And then we drove away and like left them there. That's not true. What if we could all reimagine what is possible? What if we could tell everybody that you are in a challenging situation, we are in a challenging situation, but we are in it together. And if it doesn't feel like we're in it together, we are going to make it so. And I talk about this thing that's like that I saw in kids. It was a joyful rebellion. The idea that they are rebelling against what is to create what could be. And they're not doing it out of anger. They're not doing it out of spite or to like show somebody. They are doing it because they have a joyful vision of what could be. It's not putting on a happy face and pretending everything's fine. It's not acting like the bad stuff doesn't exist, but it's saying we have something we're marching towards together. Now, that is what happens once you've healed, once you've grieved, once you've mourned, once you've been through that sad stuff. I posted this and I've been sharing it because in moments when it feels like everything crashes down, there was a tendency that I had for a long time to just go, well, I'm just gonna, put on some Bobby Farron and say that everything's gonna be okay and just move on and hide the sadness. And I had to learn that it is okay to sit in the heavy. It's okay to feel it all and to treat it like you're a sailor who's just really discouraged. The ocean still exists. Your boat might need to be rebuilt. Your purpose hasn't changed. The circumstances have. So maybe what you need to do is stop, and that's okay. Steady your boat. That might take some time. Study your compass. That might take some mentors, friends. That may take a lot of time. But then find the wind and sail. And that process has been a thing that I revisit all the time, sometimes multiple times a day, but that I go back to of accepting that it's okay to sometimes sit at step one and just stop. This book came about at a time when I stopped. We were doing Kid President, and I did not know what to do next. We had a lot of things come at us quickly, and I was just barreling through because I thought this is what you're supposed to do. But then it started to happen where I was not holding the compass anymore. There were brands that were coming in and speaking into the mission and telling, oh, you should do this, or, oh, go do this. And it hit this point where I was not, everything felt out of order. And I found myself in the floor of my office and just could not work. I was pitching other projects and they were failing, like nothing was coming to life. And I was just thinking, will anybody ever let me make something that's not a kid in a tiny suit? Like, am I just stuck here? Have I made my Space Jam? It's all over. I'm done. And I had to steady my boat and get back to my compass and realize that I still believed all the things that started that journey. I still felt that in my bones. That's still the same. But now I want to find the wind again. And I hope that for all of us, this is going to be a time where kids and the adults beside them have experienced the stop together, and they've seen their parents go, I don't have the answer. I don't know. I'm scared too. I'm sad too. I'm feeling all this with you. It's not easy. It's not fun, but if we can do that together, we're going to have a group of parents and kids and friends and neighbors who are stronger because we went through it together.
Well said. I think you talk a lot about hope in the book. And it seems like from some of the stories you share in the book, there's been moments of hopelessness, which sometimes look like being on the floor of your office, and sometimes look like remembering that you have forgotten a lot of what you wanted to remember. You have this really beautiful line. You say, it seems when we are doing life correctly, both children and adults begin to see hope in one another. And from the mouths of children, hope is where we are. I love that chapter where you talk about hope. And what are some things right now that you believe can help people hold a perspective of hope?
Yeah. Yeah. What was interesting, and I honestly don't even fully remember where I was at internally whenever I started asking kids to draw hope, but because when I would do classroom visits, I just would hand a blank sheet of paper and I would talk about possibility, or I would talk about, here's a blank sheet of paper. What if we just filled it with the funniest things in the world? Just take this blank sheet of paper, and I want you to imagine we're going to take this blank sheet of paper and slide it into a cave where the angriest man in the whole world has been his whole life. And he's going to see it. And for the first time in forever, he's going to snort laugh so hard, just snot comes out his face, and he's laughing so hard that the whole cave lights up. Go. And then the kids start drawing, like the funniest things in the world they can think of. And so like that was fun to me. But then when I began asking them, draw hope, like this weird feely thing, what does that look like? And kids from all over the world started sending in artwork. And to see that brought to life visually, you saw bright colors and thumbprints where they would draw families or draw heroes. And it made me think about hope in the way that it's always been presented in greeting cards, where it's, hope you have a great day, and hope, that's so nice. Or it's just like on somebody's wall that would have live, love, laugh stuff everywhere. Like, just hope, that's a good thing. And when I saw the kids draw it, it was not all touchy-feely like that, like just it's a nice feeling. It was fierce hope. It was fierce, like, I need this. This is for our existence. The biggest thing was, it was a group of kids who were refugees that had come to a school in El Cajon, there on the West Coast. And these kids were drawing their family all safe together. They drew their teachers, their principals. They drew these people. And then there was one kid who was in a special education class. He's the one who wrote, "Hope is where we are." And that it's a thing you embody. It's a geography that you live in, that you move in, that you carry with you everywhere you go. And right now, we could think about hope as, oh, I hope that this virus ends and we get, or we could look around and see the people on the front lines, the doctors, the nurses, the educators, the parents who are at home doing, like, everybody who's collectively fighting and lifting each other up through this, and say, you are fierce hope. You give me fierce hope, because we're writing what happens next together. Anytime we can remind each other of the hope that we each bring, then we're doing our jobs, like our jobs as a team. So like when I see you, Houston, do your work in the world, and I tell you, when I see that, like, I have days where I feel like I'm tired and I'm not doing enough. And then I see, oh, Houston showed up today. He did it. Like, I see Raina doing her work. I see Alice doing her. I see that's when we see each other. And so what I want to do more is remind those people that I don't see them as people. I see them as hope walking around. Like, that's who we are.
I love the visual of the 6 feet we're supposed to be apart from each other being filled in little bubbles of hope.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes.
We can expand the phrase. It's part of your geography. It's part of like your stamp on this world.
It's where you are. It's no matter where you go.
I know one of the things that you and I share, Brad, is a history as camp counselors, and having leadership camp be a big part of your life. The year, I think 15 or 16, actually, the Character Strong, the company I co-founded it with a senior counselor from that camp from when I was in school. So it's played a big role in my life.
That's cool.
And in the book, you talk about it a bit and how you took over this camp, and you and Christy both ran this camp for a few years. You talked about one of the things you loved about those kids is that they were people that looked at problems as opportunities to help. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to know from your own perspective, what does it mean for you to be an artist, a writer, a creative, and a leader in the world right now? Do you hold those things together? How do you think about leadership? Do you have a responsibility with your art? What's your relationship to that?
Yeah. I feel like when we started working with the camp, it wasn't like we knew how much the kids were going to change everything for us, because I thought this is going to be good for them because camp was good for me as a kid, and this is what we needed when we were younger, and that felt right. But it was transformative to be back in that space of seeing young people who were showing up in a creative way, in a highly compassionate way. And it brought me back to that place of where I used to be that way. I had lost a lot of that. And it's made me ever since embrace everything I do, or at least attempt to do it in that same spirit of the way those kids showed up in the world. As an example, and I think they might be in the book, but these 2 girls that were from Alabama in a rural town, and they found out there were kids who were only eating at school, and they weren't okay with that. And so they said, well, we'll start feeding them. So they essentially started a soup kitchen. And they did it. It's a food program that's now still in existence. And it was started by 2 girls who just tapped adults on the shoulders and said, hey, this is a problem. Can you do something about it? Like, will you help us? Can you make some soup? And I think, Rumi has that thing, the poet Rumi, that we're to all be a lamp, a lifeboat, or a ladder. And I always thought of art as being something that's just dessert or candy, and non-nourishing, doesn't help. And what I've been learning, though, from a lot of people that are in this group right now, and a lot of people that do it well, is they see it as a sacred task that we are going to help remind people who they are. So that's what great stories do. That's what great leaders do. That's what great storytellers always do, is they just remind us who we are. Even the heroes who don't do the right thing, the people, every great story in some way looks at us and says, hey, this is who you could be. This is what we could be about. That is a responsibility, that is huge. And so we can either look at that and go, let's just make a thing. Or we can say, hey, we're actually writing what happens next for everybody. So it is a task that I want to do well, but I also don't want to take too seriously and have fun. So you talk about, it's like, it's this really sacred task, but you can make some fart jokes too.
Yeah, sacred and silly can live next to each other.
I think they're the same. Yeah.
I have one more, I have lots more questions, but I have one more question I want to ask. And then a couple people were messaging me some questions. So I want to see if I can get to a couple of those as well. My question is that Christy is a creative powerhouse as well. If she was being interviewed, what question would you want to watch her answer?
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So Christy's my wife, who is the talent in the family far and away. She is brilliant. And I've not found anything that she can't do or figure out. She's always like, she could build a rocket. She could perform heart surgery on a kitten. Like, she could do anything that's needed in the moment. And I think one of the things that she is really great at is being able to see the details of everything and anything. And so at this point in time, when there's great need in the world, I would love to hear her answer, what are the little details that we're not noticing, that we could be noticing and should be noticing? Go. And she'll tell everything in this room, in your room. Like, she can hone in on that and create a solution to make it better. It's like, in Beautiful Mind, all the numbers pop up. That's her head.
Yeah, my favorite GIF to send people when I'm
confused. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I have a couple people that have been, I would love to hear Christy's answer to that sometime, by the way. But I do want to see if I can get to a couple of questions that people were asking. One of them comes from Leah. She has her senior capstone project was to produce a half-hour children's special, and it was canceled due to what's going on. Trying to adapt it to a YouTube series with my family as the stars and crew. What suggestions do you have for working with family and for producing family content for YouTube?
Oh, okay. First, I am heartbroken for you. I'm so sorry to hear that you're in that spot. This is going to be an interesting opportunity. So the first thing, you are in a great spot because you know these people, and you know what makes them mad, what makes them laugh. And there's a thing that I heard Steven Spielberg say one time about film directing, and I think it's true when you're making something, and I think it's true when you're doing anything. He said his job was to make the audience fall in love with the person in front of the camera. So always trying to position them in a way where we care about them. And so like with Kid President, I felt like that's my job. Like, I'm going to put him in the best light. I'm going to like set him up for the funny jokes. I'm going to set him up to say the wise things. I'm going to like move. It's going to be everything else that happens that could be misconstrued or misunderstood by the audience. I'm cutting that out. I want, this is, as I'm going to be of service to him, it'll be of service to the audience. So you working with your family, you could make them look terrible, which would be funny, highly entertaining for all the wrong reasons. Or you could say, okay, we want to make something really helpful and hopeful, engaging and entertaining for people. And I'm going to make it with people I love. How can I make my family come across the way that would be of love and service to them and the audience? And if you stay true to your compass, you're going to have something that's going to be really fun to watch. So I can't wait. Please, please, please send it to me.
I love that. Got to fall in love with the character, especially if it's your family, which sometimes. This one comes from Brittany. Brittany says, in the book, you mentioned a story where a quiet, artsy kid asked you a question over the other adults. What advice do you have for other quiet, artsy kids for overcoming the pressure to be loud and fit the mold?
Oh, yeah. It's one of those situations where I felt like there had to be other better grown-ups that could be in the room. And in that moment, I met Marcus, and he reveals to me that he needed me. He needed me to see him and celebrate him. And there is no better person cast in your role than you. And it's a thing that I try to tell every single kid I spend time with, every single person, that their fingerprints are needed. Their voice, what they have to share is so needed. And then I get afraid to share something I drew on Instagram every day. like that whole, like, you spend all that time saying, you matter, go. And then I'm like, oh, but this is too weird, or this is too gentle, and I'm a man, I should be tough. And then we need your magic. So this is some things that I've had to do, and it's show up. Just show up. Even when it's awkward, keep making anyway. Even if it's going to be misunderstood, keep making anyway. Like, we need your magic. If you don't do it, you are disrupting the laws of the universe. Like, because we need you here. And somehow if Houston didn't do the work he's here to do, there's this giant hole in the constellation that's missing, and we don't see the whole picture. That, like, you do your little part where you are and shine, and it brightens up everything. That sounds like very sweet and all that, but it's just hard facts.
Just cold, hard truth.
Yeah, I'm just
delivered
straight
via.
up.
Yeah, it's a good adaptation of the poem that hung over Mother Teresa's door. It's like, even if it feels awkward or silly or weird, make magic anyways.
Yes.
This one comes from, I think her name is Malia. She says, as you live and work in Tennessee, have you found benefits in being a big fish in a small pond? Or do writers need to live in a big market like New York or LA to pursue their careers?
Yeah, early on, there were lots of people who told me to move to New York, move to LA, and really thought about that. But then for who I am and what I make and the way I work, if the internet didn't exist, I would be the village idiot. I feel like there's very little. I can't fix a car. I can't fix a hamburger. There's very little I could do that the community would rally behind and be excited about. It'd be helpful. Let me tell you a story, children. Gather. Well, I'm in a spot where I truly believe that the community helps make who I am, and I can help make the community what it is. And we just decided this was the best place for us personally, like with our family, and we're going to create the world we want to live in this community, and occasionally share it with other people. And so the internet occasionally we get to share it. And I've also found that working outside of these big locations is almost like operating like a pirate ship outside of the cities. And I swoop in every now and then for meetings, and then I leave. I live in the South, and the South breeds a certain type of creativity, I think, that is different. Flannery O'Connor wrote a lot about weird, oddball Southerners, and it's true. And I've found when I go pitch things or share, I'm in meetings elsewhere, my influences are coming from a different place than if I lived in a more urban spot. So there's that. But I believe whatever community you're in, whether it is urban or more backwoods, middle of nowhere, your work should come from a healthy place, like you being rooted in some form of community, whether that is because of geography or rooted in networks of people. And so that's my wish for anybody anywhere.
Build your pirate ship. I like that.
Yes.
Interested to know what you're stealing in these meetings, though, that it's the pirate ship.
Yarr, just come right in.
I got just a few more. One of my favorite ones here, Donovan, who's a Good Workhouse homie and an amazing poet. He says, "What does the word happiness look like in your mind?"
Oh, that's such a good. The word happiness look like. Oh, that's good. I do wish I was like. I think Pharrell's one of these people that when he hears music, he sees colors, or visual in that way. But I grew up with this idea of happiness being kind of the Lisa Frank idea of like teddy bears and top hats and unicorns and rainbows, which is a certain form of happiness. But now, more than ever, happiness is a full table where everybody has a seat. Happiness is people together. It's community in that way. There's a group of kids when we did that Hope project. A group of kids a classroom spelled out hope like themselves laid out in their bodies, and I guess essentially it looks like that. But right now, a big group hug, everybody. That's happiness.
We can do it, and we can. Hey, real quick grid view.
Hug your camera, hug your laptop.
Bring it in for a little virtual group hug.
Virtual hugs. Oh yeah, felt warm. Nice. Oh, the pat. Thank you.
Little baby burp.
Thank you.
I think we'll end maybe with this reflection, since we only have 2 minutes left, and I want to share a few final things with the crew. You, towards the end of the book, you say we have an opportunity to rewrite reality with gentle but steady compassion every single day. We talk a lot at the Good Workhouse about what it means to put good into the world. Brad, what will you be doing tomorrow with steady compassion?
I hope I can be compassionate with myself in a way that allows me to be compassionate with my wife and my kids. My daughter's 5, and her big question over and over right now is, will you play with me? Will you play with me? And they're missing their friends and activities. And I'm at the end of the middle of a book tour that somewhat draining, and this has been encouraging and life-giving, but talking to like 30 radio stations over and over was not earlier this week. And I want to be compassionate in every interaction. I think it starts with admitting how much I need to sit in that myself, so that it can ripple out.
Yeah, how easily we forget wise people take their own advice. Brad, so much good wisdom in becoming better grown-ups, rediscovering what matters, and remembering how to fly. Thank you for taking flight with all of us and helping us remember just a bit more about how to do this whole thing better.
Oh, thank you. And could we get everybody to do the pinky promise?
Oh yeah, I'm in.
Oh, you want to do this? So since I have everybody here, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. I originally on book tour was going to be like inducting grown-ups all over, but now it's like truly a secret society. So this is the Society for Better Grownups. I don't know if you can see this. So this is the pinky promise, and we have witnesses here. So everybody's here. Your pinky is up, and you're going to repeat after me. Okay? Is there a way to unmute everybody at once? Can we do that? Is that allowed? Is that legal?
Yes, we can do that.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
Strategy.
So you'll say I and then your name. 1, 2, 3.
I, Donovan Beck,
I do solemnly pinky promise
I do solemnly pinky promise
to grow and help others grow,
grow and help others grow,
laugh and help others laugh,
laugh and help others laugh,
and especially
especially
fly and help others fly.
fly and help others fly.
Did it. You're now officially Better Grownups.
Brad, thank you so much for what a gift of wisdom in your work, and may everyone order this. In fact, we're giving away two copies of this book, and I would like for that to be your honor, Brad, if you wouldn't mind, just to choose randomly.
Yeah.
People are here today, and we can get their address and send it there to them.
So what do I do?
You can go on to grid view and choose a name or a picture that looks fun, or
Oh, okay. I'm gonna do the twirl. I'm gonna do this here, okay, and then land, and we'll see where it lands. Okay. Steven Soto.
oh yeah, he's the best. That's awesome.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna do it again here. Gonna go to another list. Okay, here we are. We getting two, right? I get to do another.
Yeah, one more.
Okay. Oh, I can't see. Jesse Parks, are you there?
Amazing. What a gift.
Oh, that's fun.
Thank you so much, Brad. For those of you who are interested in sticking around, I'm going to actually pass the microphone to Jesse, who's the founder of the Good Workhouse. We're about to go into good music, which is you are all invited to. We have an incredible artist singing some music tonight. Some really cool community building where you'll get to meet some new people if you're into that kind of thing and into doing more good this evening. So Brad, any final thoughts?
I just, again, want to thank everybody who pulled this together. Every single one of you working in your different spots in your areas. This is just a wildly talented team of human beings right now. So it's an honor that you took time to be part of this. So I'll close this with the same way I close meetings with fourth graders. Don't hide your magic. Please share your gift. Seeing you shine gives the whole world a lift. It's okay for wizards to be quiet or shy, but hiding your magic, it's a crime. And here's why. The world needs to dazzle, and we need what you've got. You might think that you're nothing, and you're not. You're more, much more, and it's time to be seen. You're more loved than you can imagine, more powerful than you can dream. So if you feel less than, maybe that you don't count, or maybe your soul is all flooded with doubt, remember the magic. You're equipped. You're prepared. And never forget, magic's meant to be shared. Don't hide your magic.